Welcome to the Global Pulse, a short video series where our experts break down a trending topic in international business and why it matters to you.
President Trump met China's President Xi Jinping in Busan, South Korea last week and agreed upon the terms of a ceasefire in the trade war between the two countries. The White House used the terms historic and a massive victory in describing the agreement, and President Trump scored his own achievement as a 12 out of a possible 10. However, most experts describe the deal as a truce or a de-escalation in the trade war. In the view of some, China had effectively used its leverage with rare earth materials and soybean purchases to bring President Trump to the bargaining table and had secured an advantageous deal. What was clear to me is that in the 10 years since the launch of President Trump's first trade actions against China, it has managed to fundamentally change the balance of power. This time around, a more confident, better prepared, and economically more powerful China came to the fight more as an equal. President Trump seems to acknowledge as much, and prior to the summit, posted in all caps, the G2 will be convening shortly. In many countries, especially in Asia, this reference to an exclusive group of two looked like an acknowledgement that the unipolar world order in place since the end of the Cold War is now over. I believe that while there may be a truce in the current trade skirmish, it signals the opening of a broader conflict which centers around technology. Let me briefly go over some of the terms of the deal. There has been no official document signed. Everyone, me included, is going on the president's Truth Social post and statements by US and Chinese government spokespersons. First, China agreed to a pause in the recently announced export controls on rare earth minerals for 1 year. Recently, the US had imposed export controls on advanced semiconductors to the subsidiaries of Chinese firms that were already on a previously announced blacklist. These have been suspended for a year. Next, the United States has reduced fentanyl-related tariffs on Chinese goods by 10%, bringing the average tariff rate on Chinese goods to 45%. In return, Beijing promised to do more in preventing precursor chemicals of fentanyl from getting into the US. Third, China seems to have promised to expand its purchase of US agricultural products, particularly soybeans. Earlier this year, during the tariff war, China had halted all purchases, hurting American farmers. Recently, the US had imposed fees on Chinese ships docking at US ports. China had retaliated. These have both been suspended for a year. While all the terms have an end date of 1 year, President Trump expressed confidence that these would continue. Presumably, the intent is to formalize them into some stable long-term agreement. At any rate, the current deal provides relief from all of the uncertainty, at least for the near term. I find the agreement on rare earths and semiconductors most interesting, perhaps because they are central to the struggle for supremacy between China and the US, which currently centers around technology. Rare earth minerals with exotic names like neodymium, praseodymium, and cerium are critical to a range of advanced technologies, including smartphones, EVs, fighter jets, missiles. According to the Financial Times, China controls about 70% of rare earth mining, 90% of separation and processing, and 93% of magnet manufacturing. The US is the unquestioned leader of the world in important technologies, including artificial intelligence. More than that, as a destination of the world's finest minds, it is a font of innovation. American companies such as NVIDIA produce the most advanced chips needed for AI. China is playing catch-up, but its advances have been quite impressive. The current truce notwithstanding, the central struggle is not going away. The US is actively pursuing other sources of rare earths, which involves a lot of government support. However, building a reliable supply chain will take time. Chinese companies like Alibaba and Huawei are actively trying to build substitutes for NVIDIA's chips, but they face hurdles. In short, each side is trying to build its own advantage and undermine the others. How this contest plays out will have important consequences for the future, for both countries, as well as the rest of the world.